You think I bought a Porsche? No, I invested every cent of the money that I borrowed into construction equipment so that I could pay back that loan, so that I could put a roof over my family's head, put food in my kid's mouth. Economy crashed. I can't predict that. I can't predict the weather.
I can. I'm a Doppler fucking radar. You took something and you didn't give it back. Then banks screwed you over. Take your pick. Either way, you lost. But I made more money during the crash than before it. You can too. You just gotta stop lying to yourself and ask, what did you do wrong that your family lives in a motel?
Do you like Holmes, Jared?
Sherlock Holmes?
No. Like homes that you live in.
Home Depot?
No. Homes that you live in. See, Home Depot supplies the tools that you need to live in a home.
Well, I know that home is where the heart is.
Very good. Now, do you like that kind of home?
No, because I'm more of a Tin Man type of guy.
That's another weird reference that I don't understand.
Hey, everybody. This is the Old Boys Podcast.
Well, I don't have a brain, so...
Yeah, you burnt yourself. I don't even have to add to that. You're doing a great job without me. Should I just leave? Huh? Should I just walk out of here and let you take care of it?
Yes, you should.
Who are you, by the way?
Oh, my name is Dan. Who are you?
I'm Jared. This is a podcast.
Really nice to meet you, Jared.
I swear to God, it's not just this.
It might as well be.
It might as well be. Yeah. So we review movies here. And we watched a film called 99 Homes.
And a bitch ain't one.
Woo!
I mean, that's not how the lyrics goes.
I mean, everyone was thinking it. So we just fulfilled the prophecy.
The entire time, yes. Like, there was something in the back of my mind. It's like, all right, when's Jay-Z going to kick in?
So this is 2015.
2015.
Michael Shannon, who is a sweetheart, is in this movie. I like him a lot.
Andrew Garfield. And
Andrew fucking Garfield, dude.
much to my surprise,
Uh-huh.
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern! So you got some big boys. You got some big boys playing big boy house.
What is Andrew Garfield from? Because I'd never seen him.
I don't know.
And he's fucking great.
I recognize his name. Maybe I should look him up, but man, was he good in this.
He played the perfect sad person.
Yeah, he's the perfect sad person. I am DBing him right now.
I am DBing.
You know, he's heavily British. I went and
Andrew
watched
Garfield?
the interview with him. Yeah.
Damn.
He is not American at all.
He pulled off a Floridian accent like a motherfucker then. That's crazy.
He did a really good job. For sure.
Because I live next to like 500 of him.
Well, Dan, explain what this movie is so people have understanding.
So basically, this film takes place during the 2008 housing crisis in Florida.
Florida.
It was pretty bad in the Orange County area, from what I'm gathering. I don't necessarily know all the story about it, but the narrative basically says it was really bad and people were being evicted in the Orange County area. And this guy, Andrew Garfield, he is evicted with his mother and child from his home, but the charismatic Michael Shannon, the broker, the real estate agent dude who works for the bank, he's like, hey, you want a job? Come work for me and do what I do and make people pissed off all day.
Yes, it's me, Michael Shannon.
But what they do, so he kind of moves up. He starts by basically ripping off the homes. He'll go in, sneak out all the stuff because he's good. He's a handyman, so he's good at like deconstructing things and putting things back up.
Yeah, they take the ACs and the pumps.
They'll take them all out before inspection. The inspectors come and say, oh, this all is gone. Well, I can't sell it. And then the guy will come in, and Michael Shannon, he'll come in, buy it really cheap, and then they'll put it all back and make a shit ton of money.
If anybody just did a cursory glance of some of these homes, they could figure this out. It's the dumbest fucking plan where they're like, let's just take them all away. Don't even like break them. Just be like, no, they're all just gone now. Like, wow, what are they doing? I guess we're at to get new ones. Oh, okay. Here's your reimbursement.
Anyway, Andrew Garfield's character gets more and more involved, and he actually becomes like, he starts to do Michael Shannon's job.
Yeah.
And take some pretty big cuts for it. But he never feels good about the whole thing because it's pretty shady. So this film, first impression, Jared, really gets under your skin really quick.
Uh-huh.
It's very sad, and all the actors make it very sad because they're all crying because they're losing their homes, which is horrifying.
Yeah. Little babies, really, if you ask me.
You never really think about that shit until you see it, and you're like, oh, what if that happened to me?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's not fun.
It doesn't seem fun. It does not seem. But you know what? I didn't need a movie to tell me.
Yeah, well, yeah, you don't need a movie to
not.
tell you that. But once you see the movie and then you're like, oh, that's really sad. But then you have Michael Shannon just staring angrily in your face. It's like, well, get the fuck out. I don't know what I'd be able to do with myself.
If I was to get evicted, I would want Michael Shannon to evict me. Okay, I would want him to be the one to do it.
What is your definition of eviction again? I have a pretty good one that I'm thinking of.
Consensual sex. So you like this movie?
I enjoyed this
saying.
movie quite a bit.
Okay, well.
Well, I like movies that make me feel like garbage. And
oh, yeah.
I really think that the acting was superb in it. And the story was thick. It was like you trudging through the mud and you get stuck all the time. And
so meaty. Oh, boy.
gotta go take a nice hot shower to get all that mud off you. So I take it that you didn't like feeling
well,
this movie.
Not really.
Really?
I was into the film for the beginning. Until I realized this is what the film is. And it started to drag a lot. And it got very repetitive. And yes, it was very sad until it became annoying. When everything was just like, come on, guys. Like, I get what's going on. And the way they portray Michael Shannon as this supervillain, it becomes very comical to me because they take a job where it's like, okay, he's a real estate guy. He has to go make these evictions because the government owns this property now. And that's his job. And it's a really shitty job, but they really do make it that, like, it's his fault. You know? When in real life, it really isn't. Yeah. But then, oh wait, it is his fault because he's rigging the system. He's, like, writing fake documents and, like, cheating all these people out of their money. I don't know if the right word is bias, but, like, a preconceived notion that people already have of people like this and making it real. They're like, I'm going to reconfirm how much I fucking hate you by making a movie about how you guys really do fuck us over all the time. And I'm sure there are real estate agents or whatever that have done stuff like this, but they make him into such a weird villain. Like, he's 100% evil. He cheats on his wife. This is the Michael Shannon character. I mean, he cheats. He doesn't give a shit about human life or anything.
Well, no, like, the film, I like his arc, because at the beginning...
really make him evil.
At the beginning, though, he's very upfront with all of his dealings with anybody who confronts him. But his facial expressions during the first eviction scene with Andrew Garfield make it look like he's, like...
He actually does care?
He does care. Like, he's like, you can never get used to this part of the job.
But it's all bullshit.
As it goes on, he can get used to it. He did get used to it.
Well, the very first scene, they kind of explain that that's all a lie anyways. And the sympathy I have for some of the heroes starts to wane dramatically as the movie goes on.
Really?
Because they are dumb as shit.
Well, okay.
They are so stupid.
Okay, hold on a second. Now, I feel comfortable saying this because I was born and raised in Florida. But it's fucking Florida.
My God. Family. But home is where the heart is.
I'm sorry,
and
what?
Family is where my family lives.
I think you're pronouncing it right, but it's family, right?
Family.
Family. Okay, good.
Oh, Black Betty Famblam. Also, Laura Dern says some lines in this movie that make me laugh a lot. And it's very unintentional.
Yeah.
There's a scene where she's like, they're taking shit away from the house. And she's like, my microwave. It's like, my little baby boy makes his Egg McMuffins in that microwave. I need it. You're like, relax, lady. They're going to take it all.
See, I think my favorite scene with Laura Dern was whenever she was looking at that leaf. And she was just talking about how crazy the leaf was and how old it is. And then Sam Neill, like, turns her head towards the dinosaur. She's like...
It's like, what movie did you watch? And then I figured it out. Life finds a way.
That other scene where it was, oh god, it was towards the end of the movie, but
Dan, if there were fucking dinosaurs in this film, this movie would be 10 times better. So this will be interesting.
this will be interesting. I know, I see your point, and
Conflicting.
I can't wait till we get into it. I can't wait till we get into it so you can tell me where exactly you felt it was getting repetitive, because I can see where it was getting repetitive, but that didn't really bother me, I guess.
I don't know how. And when because you had texted me saying, "Oh, this movie's really good," which was a bad idea.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm probably gonna stop doing that.
Because you set my expectations very high. My girlfriend watching this, she got, I think, 25 minutes into where she was like, "I understand what this movie is. I don't want to watch it."
See, and that's the
And she
difference
got up and
between
left.
me and you, and probably because you wanted to do the same thing. It's like, I understand what this movie is, and it's just the whole goal is not to get me to the end. The whole goal is to get me to the end by throwing me into the shit and dragging me through
Repel
that.
me.
Yeah, that's
She
right.
literally said, this is just nothing but people yelling at each other and I can't handle it." And then she got
Oh,
up and
but
left.
I love it. I love that.
That is the main problem with it, is that it's just so much of people just yelling at each other.
But it's
when you're like,
Michael
this isn't
Shannon
acting,
yelling
this
at
isn't a
people.
movie anymore.
And then also a fat guy
What
with
is
red
this?
beard.
with a red beard.
With a red beard.
Anywho, movie. So we have Michael Shannon. Shannon. His character name is Michael Shannon because he's Michael Shannon. Or Zod, whichever you like to prefer to imagine him as.
It's actually Richard Carver is his name.
No.
I remember that.
No, you're wrong.
You're right.
So he is in someone's house that has committed suicide, and I'm like, what is this movie gonna be? Because I didn't look up a fucking thing about this film. And I always forget what we describe as the synopsis for the film whenever we assign it. He just kind of nonchalantly walks out of this house with somebody who had killed himself. And I'm thinking, like, did he shoot the dude? What's going on? And he's like, nope, he got evicted, and he blew his brains out. We got to get him out of there real quick. And it shows very succinctly how callous and uncaring he is about the whole situation. And then the cops try to interview him. And I mean, Michael Shannon gets the best lines
Oh, yes.
in this movie. We can fucking agree. We could just do audio clips of Michael Shannon delivering different lines in this film.
And then you don't need to
they're
watch it.
all fucking good.
You have an interested cash buyer, and Richard Carver can approve the short sale. Want me to spell for you? R-I-C. Okay, well, I can't hold your hand while you give him a hand job, Bill. Just get me the property. Yes, John. Officer Derdura, you have my court order signed by the judge. What can I do for you?
You're the bank's realtor on this eviction. I need an official statement. What happened? Why?
Well, Derdura, it's a real shame because we arrived here with 2 pizzas for Mr. Cadwell, the property owner, but he didn't want anchovies, so he went into the house, pulled out a gun, and he blew his brains out. And that set off Mrs. Cadwell, who was expecting Chinese for dinner.
You're talking about a man who just killed himself.
I am the last man who knocked on Patrick Cadwell's door in his life. That is his wife of 15 years, Samantha, his daughters, Dylan, 6, Paige, 11. What official statement is going to encapsulate the tragic absurdity of this fucked up situation? I can't bring him back to life. Stop wasting my time.
So that first opening scene is great. I can't argue with it.
Well, not only that, but it's also a long take,
Yes.
which is always fun to watch for me. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, yes.
I love that stuff. And then we get to, what's his face? Garfield, hanging around at his mom's house, not liking Mondays and eating lasagna. Oh, wait. And then
And then Odie shows up.
Andrew Garfield, my bad. Normal. He can't find a good job. He was working construction.
As a construction worker, but in the housing crisis. What
Yeah.
is that? You got no money.
That
See,
is
I think-
very real, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's what I think I like about this so much is they were so factual and they made, to me, a very interesting narrative about the underbelly that nobody really understood unless they went through it.
Yeah. What was interesting to me is, so we have this Andrew Garfield guy who is apparently he's been working on a job for 2 weeks, and now they're like, hey, these people couldn't pay for this home anymore, so no one's getting paid for 2 weeks, which probably does happen. It's fucked up. And he lives with his mom, and his mom works. She's a hairdresser, I guess, out of that house.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of setup of him going to court and not being able to get his loan extended and stuff, and the courts just kind of decide that he doesn't get a home in like 5 seconds. So there's a lot of things where he's like, oh, I gotta fight for this house and this is our home, blah blah blah, and then later on in the film it's all reversed.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was trying to show both sides of the story, but it's really just like there's the good side and the evil side.
Well, I mean, there is only good and there is only evil. There's never
You're
anything
right.
in between. We all know
The
that.
gray area. I guess my main issue with the movie is that this guy, Garfield, got a break. And when I say Garfield, I mean the character, not Andrew Garfield in this role. He
Yeah.
finally got, I mean, he did that crappy Spider-Man movie, and now he's in the big time with 99 Homes. It's like he got a job because it was a weird change in the world where people were having a really hard time keeping their homes. But I also think that Michael Shannon puts up a lot of good arguments against a lot of these people where they're either taking loans where they can't afford.
That's what I like the most about it.
Yes, or they are doing this to themselves because they put them in situations where they're not going to be able to pay for the home.
Now, I feel like that's a weird conservative side coming out in me. Like, people legitimizing their frustrations with low-income households.
Mm-hmm.
But that argument is there, and it's something that needs to be considered, and that's what I like about this film. It's like it allowed that argument to be considered from the perspective of the evil guy, but then it does make sense as to why he's so willing to fuck them over.
I'm Satan incarnate.
He's not. He's probably like the
I
coolest
saw an interview
dude.
with him, and he was like a surfer dude. He had like a tan, and his hair was all crazy, and he's like, man, just life is like life, dude. And I'm like, Matthew McConaughey, what's going on?
Keanu Reeves.
Maybe it's the villain was almost unbelievable. I think that's what it was. It was just like a cartoon villain, and then we have these characters who are like, family is the most important thing. I'm a family, and if I don't family, then I'm gonna die. And it's like, get the fuck out of here. It was hard for me to relate to some of that stuff, I guess. Even growing up there and like being poor when I was a kid, you know? I don't understand it. So Michael Shannon's dead, right? He's laying on the ground,
Okay.
but he's in the shadow realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he has the magic hat, so he can still communicate with the turtle god,
Right.
which is good. And he says, Anat Madanban, bring me power! Give me sight beyond sight. And he says, no, you are a real estate broker. I refuse you. You are inherently evil and must be punished.
So then the turtle god gives him the gift of capitalism,
Yes.
which he successfully finds out how to manipulate properly, and
Yeah.
then he goes to Florida just at the right minute during the
Yeah.
housing crisis, and that's where we are right now. So
And then they defeat the evil government who's been regulating them this whole time.
yes, let's start from the fact that Andrew Garfield starts working for this dude,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And previously we had like a 50-minute scene of Andrew Garfield evicting him, which we kind of get. It's, boy. And during those scenes, I was still on board with the movie. With like that whole scene, even though I think
Well,
it was
here's
right
the
around
question:
the time.
at what point did you stop? When did you like, all right, get me off?
When they start doing the montages of him doing his job, when he's like, I'm going to go take water pumps and shit, and he's like, I'm going to go evict people, when they just start going through the motions of like, because it looks like they got real people to be the homeowners, which was kind of interesting. But the movie just started meandering, where it's like, I don't know where the plot is going anymore.
Okay, well, here's a question: did you like the ending of this movie?
No.
Really?
No, not really. It felt very like a very Hollywood, like, no, I'm going to do the right thing.
But I'm talking about like the implications of it.
The
like Michael
implications?
Shannon at the end.
It did feel like the bad guy was going to win, but I kind of figured that to begin with, if that's what you mean.
All right, so the ending of this film, basically, he caves in, and because there's this guy that he keeps, he saw him in the home court, and their sons got along or something. It was a stupid meeting.
Yeah, everything's a fucking sob story with every goddamn character.
and then there was another scene where that same guy was leeching power from one of the Rich Carver realty homes. And then Rich Carver, like Michael Shannon, comes up and is like, "Hey, you're stealing from me. If you don't fucking stop, I'm going to make sure that the police come and throw you in jail."
Yes, that's when Michael Shannon was... My favorite part was Michael Shannon taking Garfield as like a tutelage and taking him under his wing. I thought that was the most interesting thing about it.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to learn more about that, and we kind of do. And I was like, oh, this is an interesting dynamic, because I'm like, why would Michael Shannon want this guy to be his like second in command, his muscle, his go-to guy? And like you said, they catch that dude stealing. And then when Garfield's talking to him about it, he's like, I don't normally steal. I'm a real honest, good person and blah, blah, blah. And dude, these are just hard times and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, can you feel sympathy for that, though? I guess where you're like, this guy must be going through a really hard time, but also he's stealing cable.
Yeah.
So
you can't
something
feel
you don't
for
really need to live.
Yeah. The movie makes a big point to make sure because the kid comes out, he's like, "Dad, the TV turned off." It's like,
yes.
Do you really need that as a necessity to keep your kid playing? Like, why don't you go fucking out in the yard and play catch or something?
This happens throughout the film where it makes what Michael Shannon was, if he was doing it legitimately and not actually being a thief, it makes what he's doing seem like the right thing.
Right. But what
then
he's doing
he
is
is
so
vilified.
wrong.
Yes. I don't know.
Anyway, so there's that exchange, and then the very last person that needs to get evicted is this guy. And he now has a gun. And he's screaming at everybody, and then his wife and kids are in the house, and Andrew Garfield's like, "Hey, man, you gotta chill out."
Hey, man.
And then the police are about to go raid it, and Andrew Garfield just breaks down. He's like, "Yeah, I did it. I put a forged document in your court case, and the judge believed it, and blah, 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 blah."
Now, this was fucking crazy. So the reason he does this is because throughout the second half of the movie, Michael Shannon and Andrew Garfield have worked out a deal where they are going to be able to get 100 homes that they can sell that they cheated from somebody else, which was fucking crazy.
Yeah. And by somebody else, we mean like another place that wants to buy out.
Yes, another realtor that they
and
stock.
This is all taking place in Orange County, so this is where Disney is. Like that portion of Orlando. And like the real estate there is pretty fucking crazy. It's very expensive.
We have that whole dynamic, which is pretty interesting. And his boss, Shannon, is like, listen, you need to take this forged document that I made up and give it to the judge so we can fuck this guy over. And because if we don't, then our buyer doesn't want to do this deal, because once one person finds out that they can fight the loan in a court of law or the loan default, then everyone's going to want to do it.
Domino.
Yeah. Which doesn't make sense because you have to have a lot of money to do that. And it's a case-by-case basis. You know what I mean? It's not... Because it's all different circumstances. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
It does in the sense of, like, the less time that the document has to stay in court, the less time it's going to be paid attention to.
Yeah.
So...
honestly, the most fascinating thing to me is, like, do the judges really give them that little of time to figure shit out? Where they're just like, all right. Yeah, you lost your house. Okay, bye. Because then it seems like the next day they're evicted. You're like, holy shit. Really?
Yeah, pacing in this film was really weird.
And I get it. It's a movie. They don't have a lot of time, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. So, like Dan said, we have this big standoff at the end, and Garfield's like, I forged those papers, and blah, 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 and I fucked you over out of your house. And this dude has already basically committed many crimes.
Yes.
He's fired a gun. It's really, really bad. Like, he's going to jail. You've already ruined this man's life.
Well,
and the dude is like, instead of shooting Garfield in the head,
right,
is what I thought he would do. He's like, I guess I'll put my gun down.
See, I feel like we uncovered something very, very special whenever we covered Harlock.
Uh-huh.
Almost every crisis in a movie is pretty much solved in a roundabout way like Harlock did, where it's like, but what if your ideals?
Yeah. Seriously.
And in less words this time around, but it was basically the same action. Where it's just like, hey man, you were right.
Yep.
And then
what if congruency was mutual? It's so unrealistic. It's like a weird fairy tale. All this guy is trying to do, the main character, Garfield, is trying to provide and take care of his family. And yes, he's doing bad things, which he should probably, morally, he should be punished for. But if he just legitimately was doing his job, there should have been no real issue. It's like either being a handyman or whatever.
What I'm getting at, though.
But he gets vilified by his family. I'm sorry to cut you off. But he gets vilified by his family for them not even knowing the illegal shit he's doing. They just hate him because he is a guy who evicts people, or he's working for the same guy who evicted them, which shouldn't be a fucking problem.
Let's come back to that, but let's cover this end scene where it's like, okay, so the FBI is just fucking there. Like, I don't know what that's about.
Well, I mean, the active shooter, I don't know.
And then the FBI approaches him, and he's like, so, you work for Rich Carver Realty, huh? And he's like, yep, this guy has been ripping you off forever. And then the FBI are like, yep, we knew. And then Michael Shannon looks at him, and he's like, thank you.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? I love it.
I honestly thought that Michael Shannon had the police in his pocket already. He has this contingency. So it makes it look like, oh, Garfield did the right thing, and now he's going to get mean old Zod. He's going to get Zod. He's going to send him back to the Shadow Realm, and everything's going to be great. But guess who gets put in the fucking police car and who gets to stay outside and smoke his cigarettes or whatever the fuck, you know? Like, Garfield gets put in the fucking car, and they're just like, oh, we got a couple questions for you. And he is going to throw, of course, he's going to throw Garfield under the bus. Why would Michael Shannon be like, it was me. I did it the whole time. He could just say, this fucker did everything and pin it all on him. And then he gets away scot-free. Now this fucker's going to jail for the rest of his life. He's never going to see his kid or his I was going to say wife. His mom.
His mom wife?
Yeah, his mom
His Laura
wife.
Dern, his very own Laura Dern.
I can't wait for when the really great scene they missed when the mom wife and his son come home and they're like, well, thank God we still have family. I'm glad my daddy chose family over providing food and shelter for me and my mom wife. You're like, good job, dingus. Now your fucking family's living on the street.
Oh, yes.
And it really does look like Shannon's going to get away with it. That's what I was getting from this. So It was like a pretty sad ending.
It's a very sad ending.
I kind of liked.
That's what I'm saying. Did you not like the ending?
Right.
I love the ending. Yeah, the standoff was super Hollywood and stupid, but like that last little sting that it got in. Do you like that? Yeah. It goes down like a really strong scotch.
That weird little kid who like walks up to the window and just staring at Garfield while he's in the police car. Who the fuck was that kid?
I didn't understand that. So that was the very end of the film.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it. It was the kid whose dad had the shotgun.
Oh, yeah, that was fucking weird.
Just staring at him. You know, because
Yeah,
little kids stare at things.
Super fucking weird. So why don't we backtrack a little bit?
Yeah, let's go back to that one scene where Laura Dern, she ends up trying to audition for something, and she goes into this weird audition room where she sees herself auditioning for a part that she auditioned for earlier in the film. Mm-hmm. She's like, wait, is that me? And then she goes, and then that Laura Dern who was auditioning previously, she leaves because she left earlier in the film, and then she's like,
Dan,
well, what happened after I left? What?
Are you Black Swanning me right now?
No, I'm Inland Empiring you right now. Is that what happened in Black Swan?
That movie could have been so good if David Lynch just would have let somebody else talk him out of the second half of the film.
But that was what I was referencing.
I know, but the concept of that movie was so good, and then
I will say, okay, yeah, the concept of the movie was so good.
He abandons the plots in his films.
He does.
Plot's over.
He abandons the plot, and then he comes back to the plot in a weird way in the last 20 minutes. And I was just referencing the last 20 minutes. Like, Laura Dern, like, somehow opens a door to a previous segment of the film and sees herself act in the film. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
It's fucking rad. It's rad, but confusing. Anywho, David Lynch. If David Lynch directed this movie, Dan, how do you think it would play out?
Well,
Would it have more lesbian scenes?
no, because he's not necessarily a big proponent of that. But what he is a proponent of,
Kyle MacLachlan would be in it, though.
Oh, Kyle MacLachlan
he'd
would
be a
be
good
in it?
sleazy businessman.
yeah, for sure. Okay, let's turn 99 Homes into a Lynch film.
Okay, I like this new game.
This is a really good game, by the way. We are inside of a house, much like the beginning of this film, but we are zoomed in to a flower vase. And then in the background, you see the silhouette of some dude, like, cutting meat or something.
In a bunny mask.
No, he overdid the bunny mask. But let's just say he's cutting. No, you don't see a silhouette. You just see like maybe the you just see from the waist up, but you can hear the knife hitting the cutting board through the meat, and it's making like wet meat sounds. And then it's a very slow zoom onto this flower vase and the wet meat sounds, and then the like a big sound like that, and then it cuts to Kyle MacLachlan, aka Michael Shannon's character, just screaming into the camera, driving down the highway, and then he says, "I'll be home for dinner," and he hangs up, and then he goes to the first house.
It would be a lot of Laura Dern, like, walking in the darkness towards the camera and just getting really, really close and going, "Ugh." That shit is some of the creepiest stuff of, like, no audio, somebody just walking creepily towards the camera.
Yes, of course. Anyway,
we gotta talk more about this movie, though. We can't just do this forever. Oh,
they closed down the sawmill, and then that's basically it. They decided to break down the sawmill to put more homes up to compete with the Great Northern Hotel. That's what it is.
You're right, but that contract was there's a secret second contract, though, Dan.
Yes, and that's why Laura Palmer killed herself.
Yep, and that contract is actually a bomb. And it kills all the characters until we make a sequel 10 years later that is so fucking nonsensical it hurts my dick. So
I haven't seen it yet. So
Oh, you haven't?
No, not yet.
Unwatchable comes to mind. But,
I don't
hey,
know.
you might like it.
Because I watched 99 Homes. I also watched Inland Empire.
No.
What else have I watched?
99 Homes is a
unwatchable?
very watchable movie. It will make you uncomfortable, and I can see
What
how it
is,
can kind of turn some
pray
people
tell,
off.
besides Inland Empire, what is a unwatchable movie to you?
An unwatchable movie? Love.
Okay, I
Love
watched
was
that one.
unwatchable.
What else?
I mean, Stranger by the Lake was pretty hard.
So
Whenever
things that
it
like
makes
disagree
you
with
look
you
at
sexually.
gratuitous sex scenes
Oh yeah, I mean I get that,
can be
but
difficult for me.
Inland Empire wasn't very sexual.
You ever heard of a movie called I Bought a Time Machine at a Yard Sale? That movie is incredibly hard to watch.
I've heard of it.
It's really bad.
Wait, is that one guy? Like Neil Brenner or whatever? What is
No,
it?
no. It's not Neil Breen.
Breen, that's what it's in.
So I'm trying to think, what are some other little scenes we could get into?
Okay, so a
kinda
couple
wrap this up?
little cool scenes.
Yeah. What do you think?
He goes to Michael Shannon's other property where his other wife is.
Yeah, he's got like a girlfriend and he's got his wife, and we kind of just forget about his wife after a while.
And she makes a really stupid comment about, like, I should just divorce you. And he's like, yeah, but you won't money. And she's like, you're right.
It's stuff like that where you're just like, come on, movie.
So, and then, okay,
Really?
the other thing is, there's this dude. He's part of Michael Shannon's team at first, before he's not anymore. Well, I guess he still is, but, like, he's no longer, like, a big tough guy because Andrew Garfield goes up the ranks really quickly. But it's that one bandana guy that just seems to have beef with everyone. The one that, like, stole the guy's tools.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that guy gets kind of promptly forgotten.
Yeah. Even though he's still in the background of a lot of scenes.
Well, what's weird is that he basically has to work for Garfield now, which was kind of a cool turnaround. But it's just bizarre how Michael Shannon was like, I'm going to pick this one guy and make him my go-to dude. There was an interesting scene where he explains, like, kind of the same stuff happened to me, where his dad was a construction worker and got addicted to pain pills and stuff, which I thought was like, oh, okay, I'm glad they finally brought this up, because a lot of people in construction suffer from shit like that, where they hurt themselves during the job and they start taking prescription drugs and then they get addicted to them. And then all their money goes to that shit and it fucking ruins their lives. Like, that's a real fucking thing. I'd rather, like, learn more about that.
Here's another thing that I'm noticing is becoming a trend. And I have to watch more Michael Shannon movies. But anytime he plays a villain, like a good villain.
Which is every time.
He always ends up somehow bringing up scripture and interpreting it in his own way to prove his point of being very menacing. So this one, it was talking about Noah.
I'm not an aristocrat. I wasn't born into this. My daddy was a roofer, okay? I grew up on construction sites watching him bust his ass until he fell off of a townhouse one day. A lifetime of insurance payments, and they dropped him before he could buy a wheelchair, but only after they got him hooked on painkillers. Now, do you think I'm gonna let that happen to me? Do you think America 2010 gives a flying rat's ass about Carver or Nash? America doesn't bail out the losers. America was built by bailing out winners, by rigging a nation of the winners, for the winners, by the winners. You go to church, Nash? You go to church?
Sure.
Only 1 in 100's gonna get on that ark, son. And every other poor soul's gonna drown. I'm not gonna drown.
But he also did this in Shape of Water, where I think it was Samson and Delilah.
Samson. That was Delilah.
Delilah was the woman that fucking cut off his hair.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. God, I paid attention in Sunday school.
Yeah, it works, man. It works. He's a scary
it
dude.
does. But then, like, just the concept of taking scripture and making it menacing is insane.
I don't know if you got this.
What?
It may have been a little too highbrow for you.
You know what? It might have been.
But Michael Shannon is literally the devil in this movie. He is Satan. And what does Satan like to do?
Take scripture.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. So what you're saying is he's the devil in Shape of Water too.
Maybe less so, but I think in this film it's literally supposed to be like a Faustian kind of like you're making a deal with the devil by working in real estate with this fucker. This guy is literally Satan. Hello.
This was too highbrow for me.
And what you're doing, is working with the devil. And what really frustrates me is that I'm like defending this too, and I don't like it. Like, I don't like defending rich people.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this movie making me do this? I hate it. Because I like hating, like, I like punching up. I don't like to punch down. Everybody likes that. I mean,
that's what I was talking
about. The little guy
that,
versus the big guy.
I brought that up earlier in the fucking film. It's like, this film makes you kind of side with conservative values and ideologies of like, this is your own damn fault.
Do you think that
for
was
being
what's
so poor.
really going on with this movie? Like, it's
I
just
don't
tricking
know.
me? Have I been tricked?
I feel like I have, honestly.
Because I'm a very liberal person.
Me
in a
too,
lot of
but
different
like
issues.
it's like this film doesn't necessarily get like the only thing that's liberal about this film is the emotions that are felt by all the people who are being evicted. But the only logic, and maybe that's why this film is so interesting to me, is like all the emotions are liberal, and like that's what like we feel things. But then the only saving grace for this entire situation is this liberal dude gets introduced into the logic of conservatism and capitalism, and he realizes how easy it is once he stops giving a shit. And then you kind of have to be like, these are all the benefits that you're getting versus this is where you were coming from, and family values and emotional, just the emotional state of like just empathy. It's like you are going to be empathetic.
But can you have that though? And it's like if everyone was empathetic, then no one would lose their homes, and no one would have to pay rent, and no one would have to do any of this fucking shit.
Well, rent is theft. Let's be honest.
And you could take that to the bank. Oh wait, you can't because you don't got money. Boom, you burnt. I don't know. Yeah, I get there is something here with like the emotional aspect of it and the logical aspect of it, but then it gets muddied by literally just breaking the law.
Yes.
I'd also like to preface this by saying I don't know shit about anything, so I am incredibly unqualified to talk about any of this. I just feel like there should be a balance between capitalism and socialism, and we should never swing violently towards one of those. That's
Absolutely.
always
same thing
stupid.
Same thing with Democrats and Republicans. It's like bird can't fucking fly without both wings.
Yes, when people get extremely liberal or extremely conservative, people get fucking dumb. And dumb shit happens.
And that's why we have flat earthers this year.
I just like to understand why, like, bizarre ways people live, like with Scientology. I'm fascinated by it.
Dude, Scientology scares the shit out of me. Ever since I learned that I learned that it's like housed maybe an hour away from me. Like the big headquarters is in Clearwater.
Yeah.
And they do those fucking tests there, and those tests are horrifying.
Yeah.
And they've recently started buying up real estate. Speaking of real estate, Scientology is buying like little shops all over the place and just not putting anything in them. It's like they're just trying to get more land to propagate this fucking insane bullshit that they're doing. Oh my God. Scientology is the most relevant thing in terms of cults now, because that's what it is. It's a fucking cult.
Yeah. Gosh. L. Ron Hubbard, man.
But he's dead. What's going on?
Is he?
Is he? He lives
I think
on
he's in the
my
Disney
heart.
Vault. He's in the Disney Vault, dude.
Oh, you mean like that one movie where like there was semen everywhere?
What? All right, we're off the rails. Okay, let's end this. Let's end this review. So, Dan, what are your final thoughts on capitalism?
Well, obviously, I like this film enough to not take very good notes. I also watched it very early in the week because I've been fucking busy, and I'm just going from what I can remember from my notes.
So busy.
Well, yeah, this fucking week, but next week, oh my God, I can't wait. So I can't wait to listen or watch what you want me to watch.
I can't wait to listen and watch on your review. Talk.
Anyway, I get your point. I get why it got very repetitive. This film could easily be
derivative,
less than an hour and a half long, and still be the same thing.
Christ.
But the acting, superb. Fucking watch Michael Shannon if you really like him. Just it's worth it for that.
Yeah, Michael Shannon really carries this fucking film on his shoulders, and I just don't like films that really fucking punch you in the face with their message over and over again. Maybe I'm a defiant person because it's like really wanting me to agree with what the film's view is. But now I feel like I was tricked.
Well, you see, but I picked up on the fact that I was tricked very early, and I wouldn't say I was getting punched in the face over and over and over again. My analogy is he fucking punched me in the face once, but then kept his fist there and just kept pushing it and sliding it across my face for an hour. So it was annoying, but it didn't necessarily hurt.
Oh my God, that's such a good analogy. Can you imagine him doing that? I can. Well, and I will every night from now on. Imagine that happening to you, Dad.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, now it makes me look like some Ayn Rand fucking asshole who fucking sides with the 1%. And
I feel like
they were right. You guys are poor and you need to get out of here. It's like, what the fuck? I don't want that.
Well, maybe
like
about 20 minutes into this episode, I don't remember whenever I said it, but I started to feel that way. I'm like, I'm kind of starting to side with conservatives, even though it's weird.
This is bullshit.
But the film just makes you want to do that because, like I said, they are the only ones that you have any rationale for it. Everybody else is just, I'm getting evicted. I'm super sad. And the only thing you can cling on to is, this is why you're getting evicted.
But what's funny is I don't think that was what they wanted. I think they wanted the opposite of that.
Yeah, and it did not see. There you go.
Oh. So at first I'm like, I see the message, I'm going against it, and now I'm like, wait a minute, does it want me to think this? What should I think next movie? I don't understand. Whatever. So this movie it's interesting. It definitely can bring up some debate and discussion, which I enjoyed immensely. I thought the movie as a whole was okay. It was all right. Yeah, everybody did a good job. They directed well, all that stuff. It just, I don't know. It just didn't feel like there was enough there. I don't come to movies to be preached at, Dan. I come to be entertained. That's my story, and I'll stick it to it.
Okay. Do you have...
No. No. I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so let's assign a film. That I definitely have one ready. And here it comes right now. Are you excited?
No.
Here comes the movie that I definitely have ready to go.
Keep telling me that.
Yep.
Please. It makes it seem like I'm anticipating something that I'm not going to wait very long for.
So here's the movie. Kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope? That sounds like a
Yep.
child's toy. How is that even a movie?
It is. It's just a. You ever seen those the fireplace hour films? For the holidays. Well, this is just a kaleidoscope for an hour and a half. So.
Oh, it's that one
You're
dude
welcome.
from Tale of Tales.
Tale of Tales, dude. Yeah, that's why I picked it, because I'm like, oh, this guy's legit. I want to see him do more acting all over my face. So, a quiet ex-con's tenuous grip on reality starts to slip when his manipulative mama brings out a part of him he hoped to leave behind. And that part is, Dan, real estate. Bum, bum, bum.
This one is going to be very difficult to watch.
Really? Why?
Anything that's like very tense that has to do with a mother and a son, like it hits close to home.
But yeah, it's got Toby Jones, I think is the that cool dude from Tale of Tales, and then other people who are probably wonderful. And it's a psychological thriller. British movies, that's a genre. Get ready for Kaleidoscope, rated PG-13. Actually, it's TVMA, so there's going to be some crazy shit in this movie. But yeah, I think it'll be fun. Dan, can we somehow redeem ourselves in any way after?
Yes, of course we can. By
review.
shamelessly plugging this podcast that we do not get paid for.
Yes.
We do not get paid for. We do not get
Guys,
paid
we're going to get
for.
evicted from our homes if you don't give us money right now.
I was trying to make the point that we are not capitalists.
Oh, I mean, I don't know what he said.
We definitely share things for free at the Old Boys Podcast.
That's right. Socialism. Let's
We're all about family over here.
Ice cream socialism. That's what I like. Anyways, Old Boys _podcast. Please find us on Twitter. That's what our handle is.
Why does that tickle so much?
I'm real proud of myself. Type in Podbean into Google. Go to podbean.com. Look for us, Old Boys Podcast. You will find us, and you will love us.
Go listen to our anniversary show.
Oh, my God. This anniversary show does such a good job of explaining what kind of show we are.
Yes.
And I'm very proud of it. And I think if you're trying to get somebody new into the show, I'd be like, here, listen to this, you fucking idiot. Actually, probably be a little nicer. Don't call him an idiot.
Well, call them an idiot after they say they didn't like us.
Yeah, man.
And then stop being their friend.
Yeah. And that's what we're here to do, is ruin friendships. But yeah, it's a good time. Anywho, I hope this is something. And Danny, you have the final word.
Did we talk about how Laura Dern was in this movie?